Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. So I can't say good morning to you today, Peter, because we're doing an afternoon podcast today, right?
Yeah, we can say good morning. Who knows, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, somebody will know because it's on Facebook and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. Anyways.
We'll say good day.
Yeah, good day, Australian. This is episode number 361. And the name of today's episode is How Many Real Estate Deals Do You Need to Retire? Here's the description. In this episode, we will embark on a journey to clarify the equation behind real estate success. But it's not just about the numbers. We will also dive deep into the emotional and psychological aspects of building a real estate portfolio that results in retiring early. We will also need to, we will also need to discuss the mindset shifts necessary to overcome limiting beliefs and embrace the abundance of opportunities in the creative real estate world. By the end of this episode, you'll gain a clearer understanding of the connection between your financial goals and the number of real estate deals you need to achieve them. Now equipped with this knowledge, you can properly predict your ambitions and a realistic roadmap to retiring early. If you have ever pondered the possibility of retiring early through real estate, this podcast, How Many Real Estate Episodes, I'll give that to you again, How Many Real Estate Deals Do You Need to Retire, will ignite your ambition and equip you with simple tools to transform your financial future. Get ready to unlock the secrets to early retirement and pave your way towards a life of freedom and fulfillment. I guess I fumbled through that now, didn't I?
Well, we understood. We understood.
I'm off my normal pace.
Something about how many deals you need to, sit down, relax.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if that ever really happens, but we're going to talk about it. All right, so let's start off with our housekeeping first. So in the description of this podcast, wherever you found us, whether you're listening or watching, there is a link in the podcast for tools to help you go figure things out. I know recently I've been promoting quite a bit the Creative REI Reply system. And the reason why is because that is a creative real estate system in a box. So all the tools you need are in there. Also, normally we record this podcast on Thursday mornings, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we live stream it on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So if you'd like to join us, you can go to any one of those platforms, type in Flipping Houses for Rookies, and you will find us. And if you so care to ask a question, you could put that inside of the comment section or wherever you can type in on that platform, and it will come right to us, and we will answer those questions. Also, you can go to our WhatsApp Messenger group called Let's Talk Real Estate, or you can send a support ticket to Peter and I at flippinghousesforrookies.com. Okay?
Yes, sir. That's everything.
Yeah, I always dislike doing that part, but we have to do it because otherwise folks won't know what to do.
Well, maybe I'll make you a commercial one day for your birthday.
Oh, speaking of, that's yours today, right?
I wasn't even thinking of that. I wasn't even trying to be funny.
Yeah, happy birthday today, Peter. Today is Peter's actual birthday.
Yep.
And I think he's 37 today, right?
I have numerical dyslexia, so it absolutely is 37.
Yeah, I know. It's backwards, right?
Yeah, I get numbers backwards. So yeah, 37.
All right, here we go. How to retire early.
Mm-hmm.
Pete, it would not be me if I did not clarify what retire means,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So here's my answer.
What do you got?
Income with very, very, very little work from you.
Mm.
So income with very, very, very little work from you.
Mm-hmm.
Notice I didn't say no work from you.
No, even bazillionaires have to check with the accountant, and they have to do something, sign paper. You have to do something.
Right.
I mean, wouldn't want to be bored out of your mind, the leisure, elite, aristocratic, dumbass clan. You want to
Well,
have something.
some people are like that. They have so much money and they don't do anything, but they're also some of the unhappiest people on planet Earth.
And nuttiest.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to go there.
I went there. It's okay. We'll share it. Yeah, so little work is fine. Well, it keeps you like alive. You have something to do,
Right. See, life is a created thing. And it gets confusing when it has only elements in it, creating many other elements in it. Confusion occurs then whenever two or more things start creating against each other. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Which makes life seem confusing and cause most to stray away how they originally wanted the author their results. Right?
A little profound this morning.
Yeah, actually, I just wrote something the other day. I wish I had it at my fingertips because it was absolutely apropos for what we're talking about. But
Yeah.
Life interferes with intentions.
Oh,
The physical universe interferes with intentions. You intend to do something, and
Sure.
Right. I stopped doing this. Jesse will turn 32 in about 23 days. Emma just turned 29. These are my children. Just turned 29 a week ago. And Brendan turns, I think, 26 in September. And this is the first year, and it's only been the second half of the year, that I don't lecture my children, especially my daughters, but I definitely give them my unsolicited opinions.
Unsolicited?
Yeah. Well, they're not asking for them, right?
Oh. Well, I thought you waited until they asked.
Yeah, but there are some things that I just am a broken record about. And one of the things that I'm a broken record about is their age.
Yeah.
Because they have time on their side. I mean, if they just put a couple $100 a month in an IRA, by the time they get to be my age, they'll have millions in an IRA. And maybe you'll need millions, but it'll be a lot better
than not having millions.
Than what I did.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I never planned for retirement until my age began with a 5. And I'm still planning. I'm not always doing, but I'm planning.
Yep.
I think about it. I wrote the other day. I wrote the most important book. I've been on I write a lot, and I've actually in the last month since my sabbatical. I don't know what the hell's going on there, but I've been like a ball of fire. I've written 3 books. Actually 4 books. The fourth one's not finished. But I will tell you the most important book that I've written in my entire life was, it's not finished, but I started writing it last week, actually a week ago Sunday. Do you want to hear the title?
Certainly.
When I Die, written by Bill Hawthorne. God. Swear to God.
What? I have a CD called, I think it's called Death. It's for my funeral. Hey, play this when I'm dead. Damn it, I'm a musician. I want to hear these songs. Don't play some crap. Anyway, I have that. So I understand, you think about these things. But I'm sure you have a different approach than what I just said. When I die.
Yep. And basically it's me turning over my life to my kids and my wife. It's a write-up of all the things, because I've got multiple businesses. I've got I mean, you're a partner and Sean's a partner, and then I have 2 other partners. So I've got 4 partners in 3 different entities.
Yeah.
I've got houses in Connecticut. I've got them, in Cleveland or in Ohio. I've just got stuff. I've got life insurance policies, and I've got bank. I didn't realize this. I've got a dozen bank accounts. I had no idea I had that many. Actually, I've got more. That's just in one bank. I've got more than that. So. But the point is it's all in the name of retiring, right?
Yeah.
So the problem with work is doing too much of what you don't want to do. And you feel like it's stealing your life. So it feels like a trap.
Yep.
Now, get a load of this, right? We tend to categorize our life in 2 buckets. One is work and one is play. Right?
Yep.
Now let's talk about this for a moment before we get to the math on how many deals you need to do before you retire.
Yeah.
If we define work as an activity with a purpose, and play as an activity without a purpose, we can start to see that life is a created thing. Right? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So what does that mean, a purpose?
Well, when I think of work, you're trying to accomplish a specific thing. When you're playing, you're just trying to have some leisure and some fun. You're not trying to accomplish anything particular. Look what I did. I built a sandcastle. Yay. It could be fun, but there's no big deal to that. You're going to leave it on the beach and go home.
Right. I need to sneeze. Hang on. Oh, my goodness. Excuse me. So, purpose.
Yeah.
Purpose has a couple definitions, right? So, as a noun, it's the reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists.
Yep.
So it's a reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists.
Yeah, I have a can opener that exists so I can open cans.
Right. There's a sentence here that says that the purpose of this meeting is to appoint a trustee.
Yeah.
Then you have a verb, which is have as one's intention or objective. Right?
As a verb?
Yeah, it's a verb.
Oh, I don't use that.
Have as one's intention or objective. Well, that's what we're talking about, is our purpose. It's a verb. Right, because it's our intention or our objective.
Well, if you say what's our purpose, that's a noun. Do they have a sentence on that one as a verb?
Yeah, God has allowed suffering, even purposed it.
So you don't hear it used that way much. Purposed it, like kind of caused it or created it. They don't usually use it that way, but I get it.
So here's another good definition. A good definition of purpose is a mental sense of a goal or an aim in the process of living or existence itself. It's a mental sense of a goal or aim in the process of living or in existence itself. Right?
Yep.
So it would mean things like objective, effect, results, aimed at or attained. Right? So when I say, right, work, right? So work is an activity with a purpose. So it means it has an aim. You're there. You're focused. You're intending things to happen. You want certain effects. You're doing it for a reason.
It seems quantitative to me. Like there's numbers you got to hit, like how many sales or how many trees you should plant or whatever it is. So like
So when I say play is activity without a purpose, it's like you go on vacation. Yeah, you might be focused, like we're going to go to the Netherlands and I want to drink cocktails.
Yeah.
But a true vacation really is the lack of responsibility of your day-to-day activity.
Mm-hmm.
That's a true vacation. So if you can go on vacation and go across, many, many different dynamics of life, like yourself and family and your office and, mankind in general, you know what I mean? Those are different dynamics you play in, and you have no responsibility for a week. You don't have to communicate to any of them. That's a vacation.
You don't have to solve any problems.
Right.
Hit any targets.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So the exertion of energy, the exercise of processes, the time spent, the things done are all of lower importance to our actual purpose. Right? I talk about these activities in episode number 359 and 360. In Flipping Houses for Rookies, episode number 359 and 360, with the Pareto law, which is the 80-20 rule. Right? 80% of outcome are derived from 20% of causes.
Yeah.
Right?
So 20% of your efforts produce 80% of your results.
Yeah. And those causes are your direct or sometimes indirect decisions and purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Those causes are your direct or sometimes indirect decisions and purposes. In other words, just having something to do where you put your attention and a reason to do it, which is your purpose, and it exerts enough control over your life to sway your outcome. So what I'm saying is just having something to do and a reason to do it will change your entire life. I'm not talking about goal setting, writing things down. I'm not talking about the thousands of books that were written on goal setting. I'm not talking about that. It's just as simple as just have something to do and a reason to do it.
Well, it's better to do it than to sit there and write about it and plan about it and talk about it and not do it.
Right.
So the doing is the more important part.
So life is complicated and competitive if we have no purpose. It's kind of like being in the bumper cars at the fair, right? Or the amusement park. You kind of get pushed around, and this goes there, that goes there. You're trying to go hit somebody on their bumper car, and all of a sudden somebody comes off from the left, and there's counter intention there or other intention there, right?
Well, certainly not working together for any particular purpose. Like, hey, everybody, you see that red ball? Let's see if we can get it around once without touching the sides. And people would work together. No, we just bang into each other. Sounds like everyday life. Yes.
Right. That's true. So today we will use retiring early as our purpose and create a real estate deals as something to do.
Yeah.
Or in other words, to put our attention on.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So remember my little saying, where your attention goes, energies flow, results show.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So back in the beginning of the podcast, how many real estate deals do you need to retire early?
Yeah.
What's the question? So I'm going to give you that answer, and then we're going to talk about it.
Okay.
So here's my answer. You ready?
Sure.
Enough assets, or in our case, property, real estate, because that's an asset.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to explain that in a minute. But enough assets or property that will produce about 30 to 33% over your monthly or annual expenses. So how many properties do you need to retire early? So if you have, well, I'm going to go over this in a minute. So enough assets or property that will produce about 33% over your monthly or annual expenses. That's how you retire early. Now,
That makes sense.
that's a mouthful. So let's pause for a second and break it down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A good asset brings money in
Mm-hmm.
with little or no work. Kiyosaki wrote about that in the Rich Dad Poor Dad series, right?
Yeah.
The cash flow quadrant.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the whole book is about, right? So an asset gives you money.
Yeah.
A liability takes money away.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, your expenses. It's money that left you and doesn't come back.
Well, people think of owning a house as an asset, but if you're spending $2,500 a month, $3,000, $4,000 a month, the money seems to be going out of your pocket, not in. It's nice to have, and maybe someday when you sell it, but right now it's money out, isn't it?
Yeah. So what happens is it's the bank's asset, not yours.
Yeah, right.
So what most people don't think about, and you bring up a very valid point, which we should take a second to talk about it. So you think that you have a house and you have an asset.
Yeah.
When really, like you said, it's a liability because it doesn't bring you anything back, right?
It's nice to have and live in. It's purposeful, but it's costing. It's not generating money.
So the problem with a house is it's a mixed bag of tricks. Because the money that you owe, let's say you got a $300,000 house and you owe 150, right?
Sure.
So the 150 is the bank's asset that you're paying to that has the loan on the property.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's money going to them, you're not getting back.
Yeah.
But the other $150,000, we'll call that equity, or more understood profit,
Mm-hmm.
is your asset.
Yeah.
So it's split. Right? So if you have, which is the reason why I always talk about the day you buy a property, you should have equity in it.
Yeah.
Because that's your asset.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, I've been mocked covertly and overtly from my friends, especially some of them from the church.
Really?
Because they are kind of philanthropists and they like to give money.
Mm.
Right? Some of them have given $1 million or $2 million to some activities.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the first thing is people think because you do real estate, you have a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I have never found that to be true in my 30 years. I mean, there are times where I'm flush and I have plenty of cash, and there are times where I'm dead broke.
Mm-hmm.
But what I am is I'm asset wealthy.
Yeah.
So what I have is equity in properties.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of money in equity in properties, especially after I went through the 2021 era that I put myself through with paying off some of my deal. I mean, selling some of my houses for cash because I could do it easily, and I used it because I had to make a decision, right?
Yeah.
The decision was buy more property and get more income, or sell some of my property, pay down my mortgages, and get more income.
Yeah.
Right. And obviously the latter of the two is with less work and less liability and less problems.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I've been kind of on easy street for like a year now, which I have to change. I don't like that. It's not where I want to be. Right. So I'm working on that. But the point is that if you're going to retire, the cash flow is what retires you from the assets. So the reason why my buddies mock me is because they do donations, and I tell them, you don't understand. If you have $50,000, what do you do with it? they're business owner. You either put it in a business, in your business, or you pay down debt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that. If I have $50,000, I'm looking at where I can park it so I can make $800 a month.
Yep.
Or $600 a month. So the cash. So I never have cash for that reason. You know, I don't always keep a lot of cash on hand, and you know, I mean, I keep enough. I mean, I'm not broke, but I keep enough cash on hand because of emergencies and stuff like that. But the truth is that I don't like money. I told my buddy Steve one time when we were smoking cigars together, and he said something about whatever, and I'm like, why would I do that? He was telling me to sell something. I'm like, why would I do that? And we'll get the money. I said, I don't want money.
Well, what do you do with money? If you have $100,000 or $1 million sitting in a bank, what good does it actually do you besides some interest it might put in your pocket? What does it actually do? It's sitting there.
Doesn't make you free.
It's like you call it. It's an energy, right? Money's an energy.
Right.
So it's like I have 2 lights in my room right now. It's like having the light switch off, and you go, look, I got lights. Yep, and they're not on. They're not doing anything. What good is that? You got to take the money and employ it. I mean, wealthy folk usually are running around like, what am I going to do with my money? Got to put it somewhere to make me more money. They're worried about like it's sitting around wasting itself.
Yeah, some people look at money as like dollar bills as little soldiers, and they have to employ them. In other words, make them work. So,
yeah.
All right. So we're droning on too long about this. The point is that the way you're going to retire early is to get a lot of people to pay you.
Mm.
Now, businesses do this, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay. But, you know, I'm going to go over this in a short time. So, yeah. All right. So I spend as much money as I can on assets and control my expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there you go. Okay. So financing 101 is over. Now let's get back to the real estate webinar or seminar. Our podcast here, and how this actually works.
Yeah.
So I have a secret for you, Peter.
Oh, really?
You've only heard this about 1 million times.
Okay.
Money now, money monthly, money later is the formula.
Yeah.
See, too many rookies do what I did for too many decades. They concentrate on money now only, thinking I would amass wealth and retire.
Mm.
I was trying to go after money in the bank, like we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Until I read Kiyosaki's book, which is a long time ago now, which, by the way, I didn't even cognite on it or realize it or have the epiphany of or the enlightenment moment, whatever you want to call it, until just recently. And I haven't even touched that book. I was thinking I got to go. I have a book. I have a copy in my garage, and it's kind of old and decrepit. I was thinking about buying it and reading it again, but I realized you don't need a dump truck load of money to be wealthy. Right? So an example, if you need $4,000 per month to handle expenses, which is $1,000 a week,
Mm-hmm.
make sure your assets produce about $6,000,
Mm-hmm.
which is 33% over your expenses. Right? Now, the trick here is, and this is the reason why so many people get into real estate, is because where else? And I'm asking you this question. I actually want you to give me an answer. It's a trick question, so I'm going to stump you. And if you don't have an answer, then that's fine.
Okay.
But what else can you do in life? Now, seriously, I'm to my listeners, we weren't joking. Today's Peter's birthday. He's 73 years old. I think he has something to say about planet Earth and what goes on in life. He's been around 73 years, right? So
seen a couple things.
Yeah. So what else can you do in life in America where you can work once and get paid so many times?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Well, I don't think there is an answer.
So, well, the answer is not an easy answer. You have to write the #1 hit song that lasts forever and people keep buying. You have to be a Beatle. You have to write the book that goes on and on and on and on. like a Rich Dad, like Think and Grow Rich, maybe since 1937, people, or you have to do something like that that keeps generating income until the patent wears off, the copyright wears off, and they take it away from you. So good luck on writing that book or that song. That's not so easy. You know, the famous movie that people keep playing over and over, or TV show over and over.
You know, it's funny you say that, because I was watching, I stopped doing it because I'm a big black and white movie guy, or I was. Recently, I haven't been, but, you know, when I was a kid, I watched a lot of black and white movies, you know, Tarzan and, you know, Abbott and Costello and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Those were, you know, those were my binge watchers when I stayed home. You know, I didn't feel good and I stayed home for the afternoon, or I was home or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I just recently was watching Turner Classic Movies, TCM.
Sure, I watched that.
And I was like watching a movie, and it was okay. It was okay. I don't remember the name of the movie. But I thought to myself, Jesus, they made this movie. We'll say they made it in the 50s. And that's pushing it, because it was probably the 40s, because it was black and white.
Oh, yeah. I've watched movies from the 30s. I watched one last night, Scaramouche, 1952, color.
Yeah.
But yeah, 30s, 40s, 50s, sure. And they're still around.
Here's my point. They're 75 years old.
Yep.
And who remembers them?
Yeah, right. All the people in them are long gone.
Right?
Yeah.
I buy a house and own it for 75 years. Is somebody going to remember it?
No, we see houses built 1800, 1900.
The person living in it is going to remember it. The tax man's going to remember it. I mean, it's not, you know what I mean? It's not, it's just something different. You know, I make a multi-million-dollar portfolio. Somebody's going to remember that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a comparison. It's not, I'm not saying it's better or worse or anything, but it was just kind of a funny thought about me, right? All right, so watch this. Money Now. Money Now is chunks of dough from non-refundable down payments our buyers give us that pay down debt. So once you get these chunks of dough, you can pay down debt, right? You can buy expensive vacations, sports cars, college for kids, whatever. Now, I suggest the first couple of deals you keep that money in a bank. So if your buyer defaults, you have a cushion, a reserve. But after, you know, even if you've got, up to 30 or 40 houses or 50, you can keep 20 or 30 grand in the bank. It's enough.
Sure.
You know, because they're not all going to crash at once. And if they do, the whole country is, and you're not the only one in trouble. So, so after a while, those chunks of dough, you'll be able to do whatever you want with them, right? Money Monthly is cash flow from your non-landlord obligations or leases that are produced from our property that keeps you living in your life the way you refer to it or prefer to be. That's the retirement now thing, right? So if you need $4,000 a month, you should have property that do $6,000. Right? So that's the magic. That's the sweet spot, right? Then money later is your equity or profit that can be utilized whenever you need it in life, right? It's your nest egg that has so much in it that it really doesn't matter what happens in life. You have enough to cover it, no sweat.
Yeah.
Right? Now that's an equity, but I know for a fact, because like I said, I've coached a lot of people, you know, equity could turn into things like, you know, HELOCs, you know, home equity line of credit. So, I mean, if you have a couple houses that have, you know, say $100,000 worth of equity, you could go get a line of credit on it and you don't pay for it or anything. You just use it when you need it.
Yeah.
So if you had, say, 2 or 3 houses that have $100,000, and I'm being facetious, but you could have, you know, instead of having $300,000 in the bank, you could have $300,000 in equity and just write a check whenever you need them. So it's not locked up equity. You know, like you could have $1.5 million or $2 million worth of equity and just take a few of them and just get HELOCs from them. So if you get in trouble and you need to buy a car, or your kid gets in trouble or something, you can write a check.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing is when you write those checks, the property is going to pay back the debt.
Yeah, the money's coming in from the property.
Right.
What about taking $300,000 from a few properties and using that for a down payment on a big property?
Yeah.
No money in, really. You already have the money sitting there, and that pays it because it's a big property with maybe multiple units, and you can use that money to refinance and buy something else. And so the real estate, the asset generates more asset.
Right. So the basic concept here is that, like I said, you want to have income, but you want to keep your expenses down. So, my first portfolio I had with my partner, Ray, I'll never forget when this hit me. It made me sick for days, like stomach sick, like literally vomiting sick.
Ooh. What happened?
Because I was new in the business, and him and I were together, and we've been at it a couple of years, and I had a portfolio of, I don't know, a couple $1 million, a lot of subject to deals in there,
Yeah.
And all those payments, I think it was 20 something payments. I don't remember what it was. Maybe it was more than 2 million. It must have been 3 or 4 million. I don't remember what it was. I think it was like 3 million, right? So the point is that we're talking about this. We're talking about assets. Mm-hmm. So now on his own, he would always buy commercial property. So like he owned a car dealership, a Saturn dealership, and he sold it. He got a bunch of money, and he bought two more buildings, like kind of exchange.
Yeah.
Right. And he bought these like factory type buildings and turned them into storage warehouses. You know what I mean? So he had like, I don't know, 6 buildings, but the real estate value was about the same.
Mm-hmm.
He had 3 million. I had 3 million. I mean, it was both of ours, but and he was making $150,000 a year off of his real estate, and our portfolio on the houses would either make $2,000 or lose $2,000 a month.
Mm.
It was a rude awakening because I never thought about cash flow. I was just like so stuck on, I just need to buy a house. 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 Oh. I would bend and twist, and I would do things that were not conducive until I got 3-4 months down the road, and I'm like, the hell did I buy that house for?
This sounds like pre-formula days.
Yeah.
We have formulas nowadays. This should happen, that or percentages and all that stuff. So it sounds like before you had that sorted out.
So it took me 5 years to clean up that portfolio.
Wow.
5 years. I mean, I sold property and lost $10,000. I sold property, made $8,000. I just kept grinding. It took me 5 years to clean that mess up.
Mm.
Right? It was $250,000 of a mess.
And that was 2008 when the real estate market changed like that?
Yeah, it was just before then. I had started before then, but 2008 made it worse.
Yeah.
Right. But the point is I would just, if somebody would let me make payments, I bought it. Numbers didn't matter.
Yeah.
If I could, even if I made $100 or $200, a month, it was like, well, I own real estate. I have real estate.
Well, historically, if you can hang out to something long enough, things should work out. But in the short run, if the proverbial shit hits the fan, things can be rough for a while, and it's hard to survive that when the leverage goes under leverage.
Right. So that's why I talk about this like today, and I don't know if this is helpful for our listeners, and I don't know if they think we're being boring right now, and maybe they don't like this podcast. Maybe they love it. I have no idea. But it's reality.
No, this is real. When you say you need equity when you buy the house, you need to make some money now, a little chunk of money. You need to have cash flow every month. There's got to be equity in the house for later. You can sell it. You're not kidding.
Right.
You're not kidding. It's not just something. It's not fancy words on paper. That keeps you above water and keeps you profiting in real estate.
Right. It's like this, Pete. So I can't think of his name, but you'll tell me in a minute. You and I could talk all day long, years, write books, do videos, do amazing things, which I think we do.
Yeah.
being biased.
And what?
About how being biased.
Oh.
About how to swim.
Huh.
We could talk about it all day long. We can show you videos. We could give you tips. We could do everything. Until you actually get in the water, you don't know.
Yep.
It's the same way about driving. We could talk all day long about how to drive. One of the best analogies I've come up recently is just that. Like this is my analogy of a rookie.
Mm.
They want to buy real estate, right?
Yep.
And what they need to do is talk to a seller. That's how you buy real estate, is you talk to a seller. There is no trick.
Yeah.
Just talk to a seller. And you'll just get better and better at it. You'll suck the first seller you talk to. Who cares?
Yeah.
Right? So it's just like teaching somebody to drive. It's like, I'll say, I'm going to teach you how to drive. You're like, okay. And you go off, and next thing I know, you're under the hood of the car and you're taking apart the engine because you got to figure out how the car runs before you drive it in case it breaks. And the next thing you know, you're taking a wheel off and you're looking at the suspension and you're looking at the brakes and you're looking at, and you got to know just in case you need to stop the car. Right. And the next thing you know, you're crawling underneath it and looking at the drivetrain. And you got to know, because this is what makes the car move. Once the power from the energy, it goes to the rear wheels, and I got to know how that works. Right?
That sounds like somebody else's job called the mechanic.
Yeah. Right. So my point is that what you don't need any of that to learn how to drive a car. You just need to get in the car and you need to know this is the brake, this is the gas. You need to know where the turn signals are, and basic things about the car. Now, once you get in the car and you start driving it, you'll get better at the car. And then one day you'll have a flat tire and you'll learn about how to hop out tires. Mm-hmm. And then one day the car will break, the check engine light will go on, the car will break, and you'll get it towed, and you go to the shop and the guy tells you, oh yeah, the EGR valve is bad. You're like, what the hell's an EGR valve? The next thing you know, you learn about an EGR valve. Right? Or one day you get in the car and it doesn't start and it's like doesn't have gas in it. And you're like, oh. And you learn about putting gas in the car. See, it's this is what we did as teenagers, right?
Yeah.
Or before. I mean, I started when I was 12. But the point is that you learned about a car and the responsibility of a car and how to handle the car by driving the car.
Yeah, making some mistakes.
Right.
And then learning the hard way. You find out that E on the dial doesn't mean enough. It means empty.
Right. You have, most teenagers have a car accident. So then you learn about insurance and you learn about, looking the right way. And, there's a whole bunch of like scenarios that we could just spend a whole podcast talking about. But this is like creative real estate. Creative real estate is not meant to learn. It's meant to do. And if you listen to our 360 podcast, if you haven't gotten it by now, real estate is made to take money out of it, not put money into it. So why is that, Peter? We're going to talk about this next week. Why is that? Why would I say something like that?
Well, just optimizing. Optimizing money. I knew one of my students' dad bought a house to rent. He put like $20,000-$30,000 down cash, and took a mortgage. Now, what's he getting a month profit? $200-$300, $400. How long is it going to take to get the $20,000 back? So he's got less coming in than he put out. What good is that?
Right. I agree with all that. Now, pay attention to what I'm going to tell you. We're going to talk about this next week in episode number 362. Actually. Yeah. Well, listen to me carefully.
Mm-hmm.
I say that money is made to take out of real estate, not put in, because if you learn to do what we're doing, your seller has already put money into the house. So why are you going to put more in? Your seller already has a mortgage. So if you could take it over subject to, then why would you put money into it? Your seller already owns the house free and clear. They've already paid off the house. They put their money into it. Why would you want to put more money into it? And as I've just unrolled, we just did a big webinar last night, or a big Zoom call last night, about how to make gargantuan offers, right? It's grand slam offers, right? That the seller feels stupid to say no to. And we do that with cash buyers. It used to be with cash buyers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cash buyers, we would
We try to
shy
get a discount.
shy away from them,
Well, yeah,
or battle with them.
yeah, because
to get the
we
discount.
need a discount, and they don't want to
Right.
do that, so no sales, you get nowhere.
So if you listen to episode number 360, the second half of that episode is me using a script, teaching you how to build so much value. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Right. The point is that you don't need to put money into real estate because somebody owns that real estate. The real estate's already either being paid for, somebody borrowed money from the bank and has the loan in it already, or they own it free and clear. So why do you put money into real estate?
Yeah.
Because you don't know how to do it any other way. That's why.
Right. I think you've mentioned this a few times. The danger is if you put money in, you might put too much in.
Right.
And if you can buy it without putting money in, that makes you a pretty smart person. And how many can you buy then? Lots.
Right. Yeah, that's a good leverage point. But because we're in a culture that's steeped in generations of movies and television, we've gotten a little bit confused about the reality of time. I say this because film is an amazing art form. TV is a powerful medium.
Mm-hmm.
And in the hands of a true artist, they can both teach us valuable lessons about life. But at the end of the day, they're all edited and just not about time.
Yep.
I mean, look at that TV series you and Jesse did, right? 8 days you filmed, 5 hours a day.
It went over 2 weeks, maybe 8 days, over a 2 week time period back and forth. So it was a lot of time
Right.
to put in.
It was 8 days because that's what the contract said. 8 days, 5 hours a day, 5.5 hours a day of film to make a 22-minute video.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine doing a $50,000 renovation in 30 minutes.
Well, they do it on television.
Right. Okay, so we need to decide on our purpose, which is our retire early, right?
Yeah.
Now our attention is focused on doing deals that have money now, money monthly, and money later.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And according to the 80-20 rule, finding deals, texting, negotiating, doing paperwork, well, quite frankly, those are all the 80% stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Talking to sellers and buyers, making these money now, money monthly, and money later deals is the 20% bracket.
Mm.
In other words, it's $5 an hour or more work. I'm sorry, $500 an hour or more work.
Yeah.
And even more powerful, plus the reason why almost everyone wants to do real estate, like I said before, is because where else on planet Earth can you work once and get paid multiple times for that work?
Mm-hmm.
Now, for the kicker that may surprise you, before September 2022, this was all very difficult to do. Finding creative real estate deals that produced money now, money monthly, and money later. Right? But in September of 2022, an industry disruptor hit the market. Do you happen to know what that is, Peter?
I like the sound of that first. Industry disruptor. I like disrupting things.
Well, it disrupted how we do things.
Yeah.
What does that mean to disrupt?
Well, you have things going along a certain way, and some of it is fine. But after a while, the same old thing makes the same old thing, which we want to get past. We want something better. You know, we don't want fireplaces in our houses. We want gas stoves and furnaces and air conditioning. We want to make a move somewhere. So something that disrupts will change the status quo, which will keep us from being stuck in something. And even though you're stuck, We're stuck and don't even know it.
Yep. That's right. Disrupt means interrupt an event, activity, or purpose, or process, by causing a disturbance or a problem. It's drastically altering or destroying the structure of.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one. Drastically altering or destroying the destruction of. That's what we did. It's called Creative REI Replay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even trying to promote it here. It's just that the only way you are going to retire early, actually the only way you're going to make money in real estate, the only way that you're going to expand with real estate, I could say this in probably 50 different sentences, is to talk to sellers and talk to buyers.
Mm.
That's the 20% rule. It's the only way you're going to do it. Anything else falls in the 80% category. It's $5 an hour work, $10 an hour work.
And it's not that much fun, a lot of it.
No.
Some people detest parts of that. Few people can do all of those parts.
And we talked about this many podcasts ago, The Who's in the House, written by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Who, not how.
Yeah.
Well, I tried The Who.
Which is getting somebody to do those more.
For 20 years, I've been working on that. Acquisition managers,
Virtual assistants.
Virtual assistants.
Software.
I've taken students and tried to train students. They would tell me I'll work for free if you just let me, and they're more annoying than anything else because they make mistakes and you got to constantly watch them. So now I got 2 jobs.
Yep.
Now I got to do what I got to do and I got to watch them. So it's like not even plausible.
Mm.
And then Sean came along and said, "How about we automate everything? We get software to do it."
Mm-hmm.
So this creative real estate business in a box allows you to work a few hours per week from your desk by pushing buttons and having a few conversations and collecting money. Nobody's done this before. Nobody's done this with real estate, never mind creative real estate.
Mm.
Right? Now, this is not a get-rich-quick type of a system or scheme. It's just a couple of guys, which was, Sean and I. I mean, you were a part of it because you're always with me doing stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like us, that have been in the industry for decades and got tired of the day-to-day nonsense. Like dealing with VAs, virtual assistants, and talking to suspect sellers who just abuse the crap out of us,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And made it so we didn't have to do that, right? Then we realized, holy shit, others would love this. And we started using it for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And we built, so in September 2022, we launched it, and we did 4 or 5 times more than our highest expectations. It was very well received. But most important, how many lives we've changed, right? Because folks are actually using the above advice on how to retire early and doing it with no BS. So, somebody might listen to this podcast and drop off because they think I'm trying to sell them creative REI Replay. Like, oh, here he is trying to sell REI. He just wants the monthly payment. It's like, okay, you can believe that if you want, but you're in the wrong place. My point is I've announced several podcasts ago that I don't want to teach rookies anymore. The reason why is because Creative REI Replay does it. There's nothing to teach anymore. What am I going to teach you? How to push a button to I don't know what to say. It's like we put leads into your account. Those leads get texted every single day. When they respond back, we call her Sophie in our system. Sophie, who's an AI, artificial intelligence, I call her the robot, answers all your questions, all the seller's questions, and makes an appointment for you. You show up for the appointments. right? You do the things that we talk about. You use the script that I've written and proven, and it's like amazing, right? And you get deals. And then when it's time to sell, it works just the other way. You take a REI Reply, Creative REI Reply phone number, you put it on your Zillow ad. When they call in or text in, it's all automated. The only thing you know is that they're standing at the front door and they're taking a picture of their driver's license and they want to get in the house, and then you want to know about their application when they send it to you. That's all you know about. Everything else happens without you.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's what happened. All these years, Peter, you and I have been doing this for what, 8 years now? 10 years now? It's been quite a while. Trying to help people, teach people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where's our success fall? With a bunch of disappointments because people can't seem to handle the runway. It was too hard. The mentoring was too difficult. It was too long. It was too arduous. And only people with thick skin, like you and I guess, either we're thick-headed or thick-skinned, one or the other, or both.
I think we're both, Bill. I think we're saying it.
I remember way back when, a few hundred podcasts ago, we were talking about being thick-headed, right? You got to be thick-headed to do real estate, right? So,
well, anything difficult, this could be difficult. You're making it much easier now with Creative Reapply for sure. It's a whole different game plan. But I mean, you said all the steps that you have to do. Well, if you're doing it by yourself, you'll hit a step that you don't like, or you stink at, or you just won't do. Now the chain is broken. So I have Bill as a partner. My wife helps. So between the three of us, it isn't terrible. But still, we don't want to be doing that. We want to get down to the meat and potatoes. I want to be on stage rocking. I don't want to be at more rehearsals and more scale practice. I want to be on stage practicing. I want to be talking to seller, buying, and a buyer picking it up on the other end.
That's right. I have one user. I think he's in California. I've asked him a few times where he is because he gets a lot of leads. He gets like 15 or 20 leads a day.
Really?
New leads or maybe 50 leads. I forgot what it is. He gets a bunch of leads.
Yeah.
This guy is doing just slot deals, which is sandwich lease option transfer, which is like wholesaling lease options.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing $30,000 to $50,000 a month.
Nice.
Doing one, maybe two deals. And he doesn't even do them every month. He might do two of them in 2 months. Like do nothing this month and the next month do two.
Yeah.
And he is, we call him the slot king, right? He comes on the calls every Thursday night because we have a conference call every Thursday night. We help people with deals and all that stuff. And then there's people that are doing nothing. The people that are doing nothing have less leads, right? Or they're not working the system, or they're involved with all the technical stuff and they're not really just calling sellers or calling buyers. It's actually kind of queer. So when I say this, I have such a unique understanding of how our users are actually facilitating the tools we give them. And so I don't, in my world, I don't think I'm selling anybody except their freedom, because this is the way to do it. There's nothing else like it on the market. There are people that say they do some of the things we do, but not all of the things we do. I mean, Peter, I'm working on right now, and you know this, and I'm going to say this and we're going to end off. I'm working on right now. I mean, oh yeah, by the way, when you talk to a seller, you get on the phone with them and you get 5 or 6 numbers and you put it in our creative real estate deal calculator, and it tells you which deal to do by a red, yellow, or green light.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's all done for you. So it's as if I'm doing the deal structuring for you. In that calculator, I'm actually building right now a simulator so that you can actually push a button and actually role play how you're going to talk to the seller before you get on the call. You're going to role play with a robot that I've trained. It's going to be, it might even be my voice. We're working on that right now.
I can't tell you how much sense that means to me, because my other job, music and instruction, I've taught a lot of different courses and classes, but you have to practice and rehearse to some degree, so at least you can get it out of your mouth,
Right.
And so you're professional enough. You can't overdo it. A lot of the improvement, like the Beatles. If you listen to early tracks, it's 1961 or 2, they kind of stunk, literally stunk, until they went and played 8 hours a night every day for months and months in Germany in these horrible clubs, but just drilled the crap out of it by doing it and then got really good. So you need enough to get going, but then it's like drill and just keep doing it.
Yeah, but Peter, I'll say this in my final words.
Yes.
You've been doing real estate with me for, I think, 8 or 10 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And all that time period, has anybody introduced to you where you could take away all the administration and the 80% crap, including doing the paperwork and doing the closings? Taken that away from you and told you all you need to do is just talk to the seller and the buyer. And oh yeah, by the way, here's the scripts that are a page and a half long.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's done that. Nobody's done that in the industry. That's why it's a disruptor, because nobody is preaching that. So am I trying to sell you something? Yeah, I'm trying to sell you a new life. Because I'm telling you, if you want to do creative real estate, this system does it. It does it all, and it just keeps getting better.
Yeah.
Because it just eliminates.
We actually use it. So when we have an idea of like, hey, why don't we do this? This makes it easier. And just because we're refining it, because we're actually using it.
And we're on a support call every Thursday night listening to feedback from what people tell us.
Yeah.
So if there's something wrong or something broken, we immediately fix it.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
All right, good. So I hope you enjoyed our podcast today. Hopefully I delivered what was promised, and that's how many deals to do to retire early. So the answer to that question is you need to have assets, which are real estate, or we're calling real estate, that produce 33% over your financial plan. So let me ask you a question, Peter.
Yeah.
In final, just as a brain twister, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you need $6,000 a month, you could do that like I do it, which is $1,000 a month positive cash flow, and only need 6 houses.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could do it with 12 houses and make $500 a month.
Yep.
Or you could do it at 25 houses and do it at $250 a month.
Mm-hmm.
I speak from vast overwork work. I know how to work. I work 12, 15 hours a day for most of my life. I work 7 days a week. I'm a workaholic. I love what I do for the most part. But I can tell you that the big lesson that I have learned on retiring early is being smarter.
Mm.
Refusing deals, not taking deals that are not conducive for me. If I can't make $800 or $1,000 a month, I don't know if I want in. So you're technically 6 houses away from retiring early if you need $6,000.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that in a year. You can do that in 6 months if you pay attention, especially if you use the tool that I'm talking about, which takes away the 80% of the noise and allows you to focus on the 20% of what you really need to be doing. And then next thing you know, you'll have your 6 houses. Make sure you go subscribe to us wherever you're listening to us and watching us. Make sure you leave us a review. Make sure you click on the link that we put in the description for you, so you can go check out the tool and see how things can change your life. And if you need any support, you can go to WhatsApp Messenger, type in Flipping House. Go to WhatsApp Messenger and type in Let's Talk Real Estate, and you can get a link. Or if you want the link, send a support ticket at flippinghousesforrookies.com. And obviously I answer questions for Peter, or Peter and I will answer questions there. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for listening. And you folks have a good week. Next podcast, which is episode number 362, is probably the most important podcast I've done my entire life. It's called How Creative Real Estate Actually Works. I'm going back to basic.
Okay. Well, it's good that you can let us know that after 361 episodes. We appreciate it.
I still have people asking me that question, so I'm going to knock it out.
Okay.
All right, folks. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your support. And we'll talk at episode number 361.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.